Before you say yes to that opportunity, that offer, that person, that sudden open door, stop. Because the enemy loves to send something urgent right before the real thing arrives. And it will look almost perfect. It will answer the prayer halfway, match your longing halfway, calm your fear halfway, and then quietly pull your life off course for years. So if something just appeared that looks good on paper but your stomach tightened the moment it got serious, stay with me. That unease may be heaven intercepting a trap. If you are choosing discernment over pressure, type 111 below, like this video, and subscribe. Let this be your agreement to wait for the authentic. I need you to slow down before you answer that text, before you sign that paper, before you call them back, before you tell yourself this must be from God, because it came at the exact moment you were getting tired of waiting. This message is an interception, because some of you are one rushed decision away from a 10-year detour, and the danger is not obvious evil. The danger is a counterfeit exit, a decoy, a nearly right opportunity sent to look close enough to your prayer that your exhaustion mistakes it for provision. That is how this trap works. It does not usually come ugly. It comes polished. It comes flattering. It comes with timing that feels almost supernatural. It comes with just enough alignment to make you say, maybe this is it. Maybe this is finally my break. Maybe I should stop overthinking. Maybe I should just take what I can get. And that phrase right there is where many people get hijacked. Take what you can get. Not what is authentic. Not what is clean. Not what comes with peace. Just what you can get before the door closes. That is not how heaven leads. Heaven may stretch your patience, but it does not bait your panic. Heaven may require faith, but it does not force your hand through fear of loss. Heaven may surprise you, but it does not make you betray your peace to receive the gift. So if what is in front of you is making you feel pressured, cornered, rushed, flattered, anxious, and weirdly afraid that this is your only chance, then listen closely. You may not be staring at provision. You may be staring at a decoy designed to hijack your timing. And this is where most people get confused, because counterfeits are rarely 100% wrong. They are 90% right. That is what makes them dangerous. A counterfeit relationship does not return with a warning label. It returns saying all the right things, sounding softer, looking more mature, using language you prayed to hear, and yet somehow bringing the same heavy energy into the room the moment you let it close. A counterfeit job does not announce, "I am here to drain your spirit." It comes with the salary, the title, the relief, the sense that finally something is moving. But underneath it is a quiet bargain, your peace for the paycheck, your integrity for the access, your calling for the convenience. A counterfeit deal does not say, "I am going to cost you your discernment." It says, "Act now. Decide today. Don't miss this. There are other people waiting. This won't be here tomorrow. Come on, you prayed for this." That last line is where the trap gets sophisticated. Because yes, you prayed. And the enemy studies patterns. He studies what you are hungry for. He studies what you are tired of waiting on. He studies where past delay has made you vulnerable. He studies where disappointment has lowered your standards without you admitting it. He studies the exact combination of desire and fatigue that makes a person easier to rush. That does not mean he can create your destiny. He cannot. But he can send distractions shaped like shortcuts. He can send a decoy match, a decoy invitation, a decoy breakthrough, a decoy rescue, not to bless you, to pull you out of position just before the authentic arrives. Think about how this has happened before, not because you were foolish, because you were human, you were tired, you were lonely, you were under pressure. You were hearing outside voices telling you, be practical, be realistic, stop expecting so much. Just take the offer, just answer them back, just settle this, just move on, just secure something. And when you have been waiting a long time, something starts sounding better than nothing. That is the vulnerable point, because the enemy knows he does not have to tempt you with obvious destruction if he can tempt you with almost enough money, almost enough peace, almost enough character, almost enough clarity, Almost enough alignment. Almost enough healing. Almost enough truth. Almost enough to make you override the signal in your spirit. And that signal matters. Because one of the clearest ways God protects His people is not always through an external sign. Sometimes He protects you internally first. Through hesitation, through a check in your stomach, through that slight nausea that shows up when everything looks good on paper, but something underneath it is off. Through that strange inability to celebrate fully because your spirit has already noticed what your mind is still trying to rationalize. Do not ignore that. That quiet internal tightening is not always fear. Sometimes it is your spiritual radar, and I know some of you need that validated right now. Because what is in front of you is attractive enough to confuse your mind. But your body has been telling the truth already. Your chest got tight. Your thoughts got noisy. Your sleep got disturbed. Your excitement felt strangely similar to anxiety. You kept trying to talk yourself into peace instead of actually having peace. You kept saying, maybe I'm just scared. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm sabotaging myself. Maybe, but maybe not. Maybe the reason you cannot relax around this thing is because it is not supposed to enter your life with that frequency. That word matters here. Frequency. Every real assignment, every authentic relationship, every clean opportunity carries a frequency. Not perfection, not zero challenge, but coherence, peace, order, integrity. It does not demand that you split yourself in half just to hold on to it. It does not require you to betray what God has been building in you just to keep it alive. A counterfeit does the opposite. It destabilizes your internal world early. It makes you feel like you have to manage the atmosphere from the beginning. It makes you explain away red flags immediately. It makes you negotiate with things you already know are not clean. It makes you start shrinking, performing, justifying, hurrying, or self-abandoning before the connection has even settled. That is not favor. That is friction wearing a mask. And this is where I want you to become very analytical, because the enemy loves vague, emotional people in moments like this. He loves when you only evaluate by appearance, chemistry, urgency, relief, or flattery. He loves when you call adrenaline confirmation. But adrenaline is not confirmation. Read that with your spirit and your logic both awake. Adrenaline is not confirmation. Sometimes what you are calling excitement is actually pressure. Sometimes what you are calling a green light is just the fear of missing out. Sometimes what you are calling chemistry is just familiarity mixed with danger. Sometimes what you are calling opportunity is a decoy with a deadline attached. So let me give you the first red flag clearly. Urgency. If it is demanding an immediate answer, immediate trust, immediate access, immediate emotional investment, immediate compromise, immediate loyalty, immediate availability, immediate surrender of your caution, that is your first sign. Think about the text message you got earlier today. Did it demand an immediate answer? Did it make you feel like if you did not respond now, everything good would disappear? Did it try to create pressure before clarity? That is not small. That is how counterfeits push past discernment. Because discernment needs space. Truth can handle examination. What is authentic does not panic when you pause. Let me say that again slower. What is authentic does not panic when you pause. A real opportunity can survive one night of prayer. A real relationship can survive healthy caution. A real door does not need manipulation to stay open. A real blessing does not demand that you shut off your internal alarms to receive it. Only a counterfeit needs you rushed. Why? Because if you slow down, you will see it. If you get quiet, you will feel it. If you stop listening to outside voices, you will notice the contradiction. If you bring the whole thing before God without your impatience defending it, you will hear what your spirit has been trying to tell you from the beginning. This is why the trap always comes with pressure. Pressure is not just emotional, it is strategic. Pressure shortens your vision. Pressure narrows your choices. Pressure makes compromise look intelligent. Pressure makes your history of waiting feel unbearable. Pressure whispers, if you don't take this, there will be nothing else. And that whisper is one of the deepest lies in this whole setup. If you pass this up, there will be nothing else. That lie has trapped so many people. It trapped them into relationships they had to recover from for years. It trapped them into jobs that paid well, but hollowed them out. It trapped them into deals that looked like acceleration but carried spiritual drag. It trapped them into environments where they were tolerated, used, flattered, then delayed. Not because they wanted evil, because they were terrified of emptiness. And I need to speak directly to that hidden fear in you right now. The fear that says, if I say no, maybe God won't send another chance. The fear that says, maybe this is as good as it gets. The fear that says, maybe I cannot afford to be discerning anymore. The fear that says, after all this waiting, who am I to reject something that looks this close? You need to know this. Saying no to a counterfeit is not rejecting provision. It is protecting alignment. And alignment matters more than appearance. Because the wrong thing at the wrong time does not become right just because you were tired when it arrived. That is one of the enemy's favorite tricks. To make exhaustion feel like permission, to make delay feel like justification for compromise, to make your long wait sound like a reason to lower the filter God was trying to sharpen. No, your waiting was not meant to weaken your discernment, it was meant to refine it. Your history was not meant to make you easy to manipulate, it was meant to make you harder to fool. And this is why you cannot afford to talk yourself out of the warning signs just because you want relief. Relief is not always reward. Movement is not always momentum. Attention is not always favor. And open doors are not always your doors. Some doors are exits from alignment. Some offers are designed to consume the energy meant for your real assignment. Some people return not because they are healed, but because they sensed your season changing and want back in before they lose access. Some opportunities appear not because they are your harvest, but because they are hoping your impatience will do what the enemy could not do directly, hijack you. And the tragedy is not always instant destruction. Sometimes the tragedy is slower than that. Sometimes the tragedy is years lost managing something you were never meant to carry. Years untangling your peace from a choice you knew was off in the beginning. Years recovering your confidence after overriding your own radar. Years wondering why something that looked right produced so much internal corrosion. That is the cost of compromise. Not just pain, interference. It changes your frequency. It drains your signal. It makes your internal world noisy. It scatters the attention, energy, and devotion that were supposed to stay available for the authentic thing. That is why this matters so much. Because this is bigger than one offer. This is bigger than one person. This is bigger than one deal. This is about whether your discernment can stay intact when the decoy arrives polished. And here is the good news. The fact that you feel uneasy is already a sign that your radar is working. You are not paranoid. You are not broken. You are not impossible to please. And you are not stupid for being tempted by something that looked close to answered prayer. You are being protected. That discomfort may be mercy. That hesitation may be intelligence from heaven. That inability to fully celebrate may be the Holy Spirit keeping your hands from closing around what your future cannot afford. So, in the next part, I am going to break this down even further. I am going to give you the counterfeit test, the 3 questions that expose whether you are standing in front of an authentic blessing or a spiritual decoy. And I am going to show you why the pressure to take it now is itself part of the trap. But for now, do not answer too fast. Do not let fear make this choice. Do not call anxiety excitement. And do not let a shiny distraction steal what was actually on its way to you. Now let's get precise, because once you can identify the anatomy of a counterfeit, you stop being hypnotized by appearance. And that matters because most people do not get trapped by what is obviously wrong. They get trapped by what is almost right. That is the whole strategy. A counterfeit does not need to beat the authentic in quality. It only needs to arrive first and create enough pressure for you to grab it before discernment fully wakes up. That is why timing is such a big part of the trap. The counterfeit often appears when you are fatigued from waiting, when your standards have been tested by delay, when outside voices are getting louder, when you are starting to wonder if maybe you should stop expecting so much, and when one part of you just wants movement, any movement, so you can finally stop feeling suspended. That suspended feeling makes people vulnerable. not because they are weak, because prolonged waiting can wear grooves into the mind. It can make almost right look merciful. It can make pressure look like momentum. It can make urgency feel like an answer. But urgency is not anointing. That is one of the cleanest things you need to remember from this message. Urgency is not anointing. A lot of people have entered wrong relationships because they mistook intensity for destiny. A lot of people have accepted wrong jobs because they mistook relief for alignment. A lot of people have said yes to wrong partnerships because they mistook fast access for favor. And afterward, when the internal corrosion began, they kept asking the wrong question. They asked, why did this look so good if it was wrong? Because that is what a decoy does. It borrows enough truth to lower your guard. Think about how sophisticated this is. The enemy does not have to send you the opposite of what you prayed for. That would be too easy to spot. He sends something that reflects your prayer just enough to trigger recognition, but not enough to carry peace. That is why so many counterfeits come in as 90% matches. They sound right. They look timely. They meet a visible need. They flatter your hope. They answer your fatigue. They seem to solve a problem quickly. But they come with one hidden tax. They cost you your internal steadiness. That is the tax. The real danger of a counterfeit is not simply that it is imperfect. Everything in life has some imperfection. The danger is that it makes you violate yourself in order to hold onto it. It asks you to override your signal. It asks you to explain away what your spirit already noticed. It asks you to call tension peace, compromise maturity, and confusion a green light. That is how hijacking works. It does not always happen through one dramatic fall. Sometimes it happens through repeated self-betrayal. You ignore one red flag, then another, and each time you do, your internal radar gets a little quieter, not because it failed, but because you trained yourself not to listen. That is why this message is protective, not paranoid. I am not telling you to fear every open door. I am telling you to become intelligent around patterns. Because there are patterns. Here is one. Counterfeits often arrive with accelerated emotional demands. A real thing may develop. A counterfeit pushes. A real thing allows observation. A counterfeit wants immediate intimacy, immediate access, immediate confidence, immediate agreement. It wants you to skip process. And process matters because process reveals character. Process reveals motive. Process reveals whether something can hold weight or whether it only knows how to impress. Think about the person from your past who suddenly came back saying all the right words. They sound different. Softer, more self-aware, more sincere. Maybe even spiritual now. Maybe they know exactly what to mention because they know what once mattered to you. And for a moment you think, maybe this is redemption. But when you get quiet, there is that same heavy energy, same pressure, same subtle confusion, same feeling that your peace has to work harder around them, same sensation that your body remembers something your mind is trying to be kind enough to forget. That memory in your body is not stupidity. It is data. Your nervous system pays attention. Your spirit pays attention. Your stomach pays attention. And that slight nausea, that hesitation, that inability to fully exhale around someone or something that looks good enough is often a security system, not a character flaw. That is especially important for people who have a history with manipulators. Because when someone has ignored red flags before, the enemy loves to weaponize shame afterward. He wants you to say, I should know better, so I guess I can't trust myself. And once you stop trusting yourself, you become easier to pressure again. But the answer to past missteps is not self-contempt. It is sharper discernment. You are not supposed to become paranoid. You are supposed to become trained. And trained people know the difference between excitement and creeping anxiety. Let's talk about that for a minute. Creeping anxiety often disguises itself as excitement when you are about to make a forced decision. Your heart races, your mind speeds up. You start rehearsing outcomes. You imagine the door closing. You feel a weird buzz in your body. And because there is motion, you tell yourself, maybe I'm excited. But excitement and anxiety leave different residues. Healthy excitement still has room in it. It has air in it. It has curiosity in it. It does not demand that you betray yourself to keep the possibility alive. Anxiety disguised as excitement feels narrower, more urgent, more performative, more tied to fear of loss, more tied to what happens if you do not say yes immediately. That is not a small distinction. That is one of the ways you catch the trap before it closes. And the part nobody warned you about is this: some counterfeits are not evil because of what they offer. They are dangerous because of what they interrupt. A well-paying job may not be evil in itself, but if it requires you to sacrifice your peace, your morals, your prayer life, your integrity, and the deeper work God is building in you, then the issue is not the money. The issue is the hijacking. A person returning from your past may not look destructive on the surface, but if their presence immediately scrambles your inner clarity, revives old instability, and pulls you back into emotional management, then the issue is not whether they said the right words. The issue is the frequency. A deal may look like advancement, but if it comes wrapped in pressure, vagueness, ego-stroking, or subtle ethical compromise, then the issue is not whether the opportunity is impressive. The issue is what it trains you to ignore. That is the cost of compromise, and compromise always costs more than it advertises. At first it promises relief. Later it produces drag. At first it promises access. Later it produces entanglement. At first it promises acceleration. Later it produces delay, confusion, and recovery work. That is why so many people can tell, in hindsight, the exact moment they crossed themselves. The exact moment they knew. The exact moment something in them got quiet for the wrong reason, and they moved anyway because the package was shiny and the pressure was high. But this message is here, so you do not have to learn that lesson the expensive way again. So let me give you the counterfeit test, not as a cold checklist. As a strategic filter, when something new appears, ask these 3 questions. First, does this come with peace or does it come with pressure? Not perfect comfort. Peace, because real peace and real challenge can coexist. Something authentic may still stretch you, but it will not force you into internal fragmentation. It will not make you feel bullied into agreement. It will not demand that you decide from panic. If what is in front of you only stays attractive while you are rushed, then it is using pressure as makeup. Second, does this require me to betray what God has already refined in me? That question will expose more than people realize. Does this opportunity ask you to shrink your values, to ignore your gut, to lower your standards, to excuse familiar heaviness, to step back into confusion you were delivered from, to call compromise maturity, to act like your history taught you nothing? If the answer is yes, then the opportunity may look like arrival, but it is functioning like regression. Third, when I get quiet, do I feel expanded or reduced? This is crucial. Do you feel more coherent around it or more split? More clear or more cloudy? More anchored or more scattered? More like yourself or less like yourself? Do you feel your spirit opening or do you feel your energy preparing for management, repair, performance, or defense? That third question catches what appearances hide, because counterfeits often look expanding from a distance, but up close, they reduce you. They reduce your peace. They reduce your signal. They reduce your standards. They reduce your standards. They reduce your inner spaciousness. They reduce your access to what is true because all your energy starts going into maintaining something that should not have required maintenance that early. That is not a blessing. That is a burden in disguise. Put those 3 questions on what is in front of you right now. The offer, the person, the invitation, the deal, the place, the next move. Does it come with peace or pressure? Does it require betrayal of what has been refined in you? When you get quiet, do you feel expanded or reduced? You do not need 10 signs if those 3 answers are already exposing the truth. And this is why I want to validate something that many of you have been trying to dismiss. That gut hesitation is not always fear of blessing. Sometimes it is recognition of misalignment. You are not difficult for feeling it. You are not damaged for noticing it. You are not self-sabotaging every time something shiny makes you uneasy. In fact, your discomfort may be proof of growth. Because old versions of you would have called this chemistry. Old versions of you would have called this favor. Old versions of you would have topped themselves out of the warning and then spent months or years cleaning up what discernment tried to prevent in 5 minutes. But you are not there now. You are getting wiser, more observant, more accurate. And I want to say this carefully because it matters for the viewer who has been pressured by outside voices. Just because other people think it is a good deal does not mean it is your door. Other people are often evaluating by surface metrics: salary, beauty, status, timing, convenience, optics, speed. But spiritual destiny is not protected by optics. It is protected by discernment. People around you may say, just take what you can get. But they will not always be the ones living with the consequences. They will not always be the ones carrying the atmosphere. They will not always be the ones managing the drag that comes from saying yes to something your spirit never truly trusted. That is why you must stop outsourcing your radar. Advice can help, counsel can help, wise voices matter, but when heaven is using your own spirit as an alarm system, you cannot mute that alarm just because the room likes the deal. And the enemy knows that too. That is why he loves using outside pressure as reinforcement. Everyone thinks it's amazing. Everyone says you'd be crazy not to take it. Everyone says opportunities like this don't come twice. Everyone says that person has changed. Everyone says you're overthinking. Everyone says stop being so cautious. But listen to me. Being hard to rush is a gift. Being able to pause without apologizing is a gift. Being able to say, this looks good, but something is off, is a gift. Being able to disappoint pressure in order to protect peace is a gift. That is not fear, that is mastery. And mastery is what keeps chosen people from getting repeatedly delayed by attractive distractions. Because the enemy does not always fight you by attacking head-on. Sometimes he fights you by offering you a side road right before the real door opens. Not because the side road is better, because the side road is consuming. It burns time. It burns energy. It burns confidence. It burns focus. It burns the very discernment you were supposed to carry into the authentic season. So the goal right now is not just to avoid one bad decision. The goal is to preserve your frequency. Preserve your clarity. Preserve your peace. Preserve your clean yes. That matters because the authentic thing does not just need your availability. It needs your discernment intact when it arrives. And this is where we turn the corner in the next part. Because saying no to a counterfeit is not merely avoidance. It is creation. It creates a vacuum, a clean, no clear space. A firm rejection breaks the false tether. A decision not to settle shifts your atmosphere and tells heaven, I will not fill this place with a decoy just because I got tired. And that is when something powerful begins to happen. Because the authentic does not compete with the counterfeit on the counterfeit's terms. It waits for clarity. It waits for agreement. It waits for you to stop feeding a distraction that was never supposed to sit in the seat prepared for the real thing. So in the next part, I'm going to show you what happens when you say no cleanly, why rejection of the decoy is often the final act of preparation before the real blessing becomes visible. And I'm going to pray a discernment activation over you so the mask comes off whatever has been trying to flatter its way into your life. For now, do not let urgency make you stupid. Do not let pressure rename itself peace. And do not be afraid to trust the radar God is sharpening in you. Now let me show you why saying no matters more than most people realize. Because rejection is not always loss. Sometimes rejection is alignment. Sometimes rejection is alignment. Sometimes rejection is the exact move that keeps your future from being hijacked. And that is the part the enemy hopes you never understand. He wants you to think the only danger is saying yes to something bad. But often, the deeper danger is staying emotionally entangled with something false for too long. Thinking about it, imagining it, defending it, negotiating with it, giving it mental rent, letting it sit in your atmosphere while your spirit keeps trying to clear the room. That is how counterfeits drain people. Not only through obvious damage, through occupation. They occupy your attention. They occupy your energy. They occupy your energy. They occupy your emotional bandwidth. They occupy the seat that should have remained open for what is authentic. And that is why a clean no is so powerful. A clean no is not just a decision, it is an eviction. It tells the counterfeit, you do not get to sit in the place prepared for my real blessing. You do not get to consume my discernment. You do not get to harvest my exhaustion. You do not get to use my waiting against me. You do not get to flatter your way into a season that God did not authorize. That is the law of the vacuum. When you stop feeding what is false, you create space for what is real. And I need you to hear that correctly, because some people are afraid of empty space. They think if they say no, they will be left with nothing. They think the vacuum will feel like punishment. They think the silence after rejection means they made a mistake. No. The vacuum is not punishment. It is preparation. The vacuum is what happens when you finally clear out what was taking up space without carrying grace. The vacuum is what happens when your life stops being crowded by almost. The vacuum is what happens when your hands are no longer full of a decoy, so heaven can place something authentic there without asking you to juggle both. That is why some of you have felt a war just trying to step back from this thing. The moment you considered saying no, the pressure increased, the anxiety increased, the outside voices got louder, the flattering language got stronger, the urgency got more dramatic. That is not random, because once the counterfeit senses eviction, it becomes more persuasive. It suddenly becomes sweeter, more convincing, more understanding, more available, more shiny, more aligned on the surface. Why? Because it is trying to survive your discernment, and you need to be very clear here. The escalation is not proof you should take it. The escalation is often proof that your no is threatening the trap. Think about the person from your past who came back and suddenly found all the right words the moment you started pulling away. Think about the job offer that became more attractive the moment you hesitated. Think about the deal that got more urgent, more flattering, more emotionally loaded the moment you asked for time to think. That increase in pressure is not always favor fighting to stay open. Sometimes it is exposure fighting not to be seen. This is why being able to disappoint pressure is a spiritual skill. Not because you enjoy saying no, but because you know what pressure is trying to do. Pressure is trying to collapse your radar. Pressure is trying to make you choose from fear. Pressure is trying to make your internal security system feel inconvenient. Pressure is trying to convince you that caution is sabotage. But caution is not sabotage when something is misaligned. Caution is intelligence. And some of you need relief here because you have been afraid that if you reject this, you are rejecting God. You have been afraid that one no will ruin your future. You have been afraid that the door will close and nothing better will come. That fear is the final hook of the counterfeit. It always wants to present itself as irreplaceable. But what God authors does not need to threaten you into agreement. What God sends does not need to make you afraid that He ran out of options. What God has for you is not so fragile that one act of discernment can ruin it. That should settle somebody's spirit immediately, because the hidden fear was never really about this one offer. It was about scarcity. What if this is my last chance? What if there is nothing behind this? What if I pass this up and stay stuck? What if I say no and the silence gets longer? What if the counterfeit is actually all I'm ever going to get? Listen carefully. A counterfeit survives by convincing you there is no authentic waiting behind it. That is the lie. The counterfeit wants to stand in front of the real thing and use its visibility against you. It wants you to say, at least I can see this. At least this is here. At least this is moving. At least this is responding. At least this is tangible. Meanwhile, the authentic is often quieter, less aggressive, less performative, less desperate to sell itself to your wounds. That does not make it absent, it makes it clean. And this is the revelation many of you were meant to hear today. The authentic blessing is not missing. It is standing behind the counterfeit. Not in the sense that you are owed a perfect fantasy tomorrow morning, but in the sense that the decoy arrived to block your sightline, occupy your hands, and pull you off frequency before the real door had fully come into view. That is why the counterfeit showed up now, not randomly. Strategically, it sensed movement, it sensed readiness, it sensed your season shifting. It sensed that something authentic was getting close enough that a decoy had to be deployed first. And if you do not understand that, you will keep reading the appearance of the counterfeit as proof of provision, when in reality it may be proof that provision is near enough to threaten opposition. This is how the trap works. The counterfeit appears first, then your emotions get activated. Then fear of missing out starts preaching. Then urgency starts closing your vision. Then outside voices start reinforcing the pressure. Then your old history with delay starts weakening your filter. Then you mistake the sudden movement for divine confirmation. But once you see the strategy, the hypnosis breaks. And when the hypnosis breaks, detachment begins. You stop admiring the package. You start studying the pattern. You stop asking, how shiny is it? You start asking, what does it cost me internally? You stop asking, what if I lose it? You start asking, why does it need me afraid to keep me interested? That is discernment maturing, and mature discernment is calm. Not paranoid, not suspicious of everything, not dramatic. Calm enough to observe, calm enough to pause, calm enough to disappoint the room, calm enough to say, this may be attractive, but attraction is not authority, calm enough to say, this may be available, but availability is not assignment. Calm enough to say, this may be promising, but promise and pressure are not the same thing. That is the confidence I want to put back into you. Not confidence that says, I will never be tempted again. Confidence that says, I know what to do when temptation is disguised as opportunity. Because let's be honest, some of you are not battling obvious evil. You are battling polished misalignment. You are battling doors that seem helpful but carry drag. People who speak your language but disturb your peace. Deals that solve one problem while creating 3 deeper ones. Invitations that flatter your ego while quietly taxing your soul. That is why you need sharp, stable language for the next few days. Not maybe, not let's see, not I don't know, but I'll keep the door cracked just in case. Sometimes the most spiritual sentence is no. No, because I recognize pressure. No, because peace should not have to be argued into existence. No, because my spirit should not have to wrestle this hard for permission to rest. No, because something that needs me rushed usually cannot survive my clarity. No, because I would rather endure a little more waiting than years of recovery from another decoy. No, because my life is not available for hijacking. My life is not available for hijacking. Say that in your spirit. My life is not available for hijacking. Because the more clearly you reject the counterfeit, the faster your atmosphere changes. The mental noise begins to break. The emotional fog begins to lift. The false attachment starts losing power. And often, almost immediately, you feel something surprising. Relief, not grief. Relief, why? Because part of you knew all along. Part of you was tired of defending what your spirit had already flagged. Part of you was exhausted from trying to make the wrong thing feel right. Part of you was carrying tension because the counterfeit needed management from the beginning. That is why when you say no cleanly, you often feel your energy come back before any new opportunity even appears. Because peace was never in the counterfeit. Peace was in your discernment finally being honored. That is why you are not crazy for feeling better after stepping back from something good. That is why you are not self-sabotaging for refusing a shiny trap. That is why you are not difficult for protecting your frequency. You are getting free. And now I want to activate that freedom in you directly. Father, in the name of Jesus, I ask you to sharpen the radar of the one listening right now. Open their spiritual eyes. Strip the mask off every counterfeit. Expose every decoy. Expose every flattering lie. Expose every rushed opportunity that was sent to hijack timing, drain peace, compromise values, or consume energy that belongs to an authentic assignment. Where something looks 90% right but carries a hidden tax, reveal the tax. Where something sounds good but carries the wrong frequency, reveal the frequency. Where something is using urgency to get past discernment, shut down the pressure and let clarity rise. I ask that you bring their spirit and their mind into agreement. Let the red flags become unmistakable. Let manipulation lose its charm. Let anxiety stop pretending to be excitement. Let old emotional hooks lose their grip. Let the viewer listening feel sudden detachment from whatever has been trying to sell itself through fear of loss. Break the lie of scarcity. Break the lie that there will never be another opportunity. Break the lie that saying no means missing God. Break the lie that waiting with discernment is the same thing as being left behind. Break the lie that they have to grab what is available because nothing authentic is coming. No, what is authentic is not absent, it is protected. And I pray that every false door begins to look smaller, louder, and less impressive in the light of truth. Restore clean perception. Restore calm thinking. Restore trust in the signal you placed inside them. Heal the places where past manipulation made them doubt themselves. Heal the places where delay made them vulnerable to pressure. Heal the places where loneliness, fatigue, disappointment, or outside voices almost trained them to accept less than what you were preparing. And where there has been confusion, bring coherence. Where there has been flattery, bring sobriety. Where there has been false urgency, bring holy slowness. Where there has been entanglement, bring clean severing. Where there has been hesitation mixed with guilt, bring peace. I decree over the one listening, you will not be used. You will not be tricked. You will not be delayed by polished distraction. You will not call pressure peace. You will not call anxiety excitement. You will not betray your own radar to avoid temporary emptiness. You will not accept a decoy because it arrived before the authentic became visible. You are protected. You are teachable. You are sharper than you were before. And your no is creating room for what is real. So when you leave this message, do not go back into negotiation. Do not reopen what your spirit is trying to close. Do not re-romanticize what clarity already exposed. Do not let the room talk you back into a trap heaven just uncovered. Stay brilliant. Stay calm. Stay unhurried. Stay honest about what your gut has been saying. Because the close call was not proof that you are easy to deceive. It was proof that your protection system still works, and that should make you grateful, not afraid. Grateful that you caught it. Grateful that you paused. Grateful that you felt the heaviness early. Grateful that your spirit refused to celebrate what your future could not afford. Grateful that heaven intercepted you before another detour got written into your story. That is not paranoia. That is protection. And I believe that once you release the counterfeit fully, you are going to feel something powerful return to you. Clean expectation. Not desperate expectation, not fearful expectation, clean expectation. The kind that says, I do not need to chase what is mine. I do not need to panic about timing. I do not need to settle to prove I have faith. I can wait in peace because what is authentic will not need to bypass my discernment to enter my life. That is where I want you to end, protected, clear, detached from the shiny trap, excited not because you grabbed something fast, but because you almost got hijacked and didn't, and now the path is cleaner. The air is clearer. The seat is open. Your hands are freer. Your frequency is steadier, which means when the authentic comes, you will not need to talk yourself into peace. You will recognize it. If you are choosing to reject the counterfeit and wait for the authentic, type 111 in the comments, like this video, and subscribe. Let this be your agreement that your life will not be hijacked by a decoy.